I have to say the KEEFE interview. And by actually sitting down with KEEFE and getting his whole story from beginning to end, at the end of that interview, I'm like, okay, I pretty much solved the case.
The hip-hop world was brought to a standstill in 1996 after legendary rapper Tupac Shakur was gunned down and killed. 27 years later, one of the men directly involved in the shooting was arrested, charged, and will hopefully be sentenced when found guilty. While this has been a trending topic, one other person has been on the news giving his reaction to the arrest. This is none other than Vladimir Lyubovny, alias DJ Vlad. According to him, he helped piece together and solve Tupac's murder. How true is this? Well, let's find out. DJ Vlad reacts.
I felt that I essentially solved this whole case 4 years ago when I did the first interview with KEEFE in like July of 2019. It was all laid out from beginning to end.
DJ Vlad is a prominent figure in the world of hip-hop media and entertainment, and is popularly known for his pioneering work as the founder and CEO of Vlad TV, a multimedia platform that is a vital source for hip-hop and urban culture interviews, news, and content. His YouTube channel features in-depth interviews with rap legends, rising stars, and industry insiders, and has garnered millions of subscribers, making it a must-watch destination for fans seeking unfiltered insights into the lives and minds of their favorite artists. DJ Vlad's time as a YouTuber has seen its ups and downs. While his in-depth interviews have seen many flock to his channel, he has also invited the wrath of rappers who did not take kindly to his coverage of their affairs. In August 2008, Vlad was assaulted by Rick Ross's entourage after he covered a story on the rapper's former career as a corrections officer. He posted on his website a photo of Ross in a correctional officer's uniform, leading to him getting jumped by Rick Ross's goons. While that was one of his lowest moments as a YouTuber, it seems he may have recently found one of his highest moments.
Las Vegas Metro Police took Dwayne KEEFE D. Davis into custody Friday. He's being held on charges related to the 1996 murder of rapper Tupac Shakur.
On September 29, 2023, Dwayne Keith Davis, alias KEEFE D, was taken into custody by Las Vegas Metropolitan Police in connection with the murder of Tupac. You may be wondering what this incident has anything to do with Vlad. Well, in August of 2019, DJ Vlad posted his interview with KEEFE D on his YouTube channel. The in-depth interview, which was more than 2.5 hours long, gave the public insights into the feud that led to Tupac's death, as well as the events leading up to the fatal shooting. The interview has since garnered more than 3 million views, as KEEFE D revealed information that had remained a mystery to many people for 27 years. According to Vlad, he helped take down Tupac's killer. He believes that he actually helped solve the case. So confident is DJ Vlad that he has gone on interviews and claimed to have cracked the case.
I felt that I essentially solved this whole case 4 years ago when I did the first interview with KEEFE in like July of 2019. It was all laid out from beginning to end. And by actually sitting down with KEEFE and getting his whole story from beginning to end, at the end of that interview, I'm like, okay, I pretty much solved the case.
Is there any validity to Vlad's claim? Did a YouTuber really help cops crack a murder case that had gone cold for close to 3 decades? This would not be the first time a YouTube video has helped cops crack a murder case. Back in 2020, popular YouTube channel Chicago Scene 88, which focuses on gangs, especially in Chicago, covered in accurate detail the murder of rapper FBG Duck. The video was posted in 2020, and the suspects mentioned in the video were arrested in 2021. Did DJ Vlad do the same? Was his line of questioning so good that KEEFE D ended up snitching on himself? Well, before answering this question, it is interesting to look at his reaction after KEEFE D was arrested. He appeared in an interview with popular journalist Piers Morgan, where he gave his thoughts on the arrest. Piers even noted that Vlad's interview with KEEFE D was crucial in having him arrested.
And these interviews that you did with KEEFE D, they've turned out to be extremely significant in this investigation, leading, in fact, to him being arrested and indicted. When you heard that news, how did you feel?
Well, according to Vlad, his goal was never to have him arrested. His goal was to get the truth about what happened to Tupac 27 years ago.
Well, the goal wasn't really to get anyone arrested. It was really just to get the truth of the matter.
In another interview, Vlad revealed that he was a huge fan of Tupac and his music, so the KEEFE D's arrest helped him get closure. It is important to note that before Vlad turned his attention to YouTube, he was a popular DJ. In fact, one of his biggest projects as a DJ was as a Tupac mixtape called Rap Phenomenon 2, which even won an award and helped him carve a path for himself in the hip-hop industry.
So for me, that was my sense of closure, just as a fan of Pac. Because if you look at my history, You know, like the biggest project I did during my DJ career was a Tupac mixtape. It was called Rap Phenomenon too. It won mixtape of the year and everything. And it really gave me a career in hip hop.
In the interview with Piers Morgan, Vlad revealed that although he did the interview with KEEFE D in 2019, he knew everything about the murder back in 2007.
The story about Orlando Anderson killing Tupac, I've known since around 2007. So was essentially the worst kept secret in LA. Everyone knew about it, but there were no arrests, there was no convictions, there was no anything, there was no actual proof. So there was a lot of conspiracy theories around it.
If this was true, how did Vlad get to know all this before the public? Most importantly, if the information about Tupac's death had been known, how had KEEFE D evaded the cops for close to 3 decades? Well, Vlad gave insight into how he stumbled on information regarding KEEFE D's involvement in Tupac's murder.
Around 2008, when I first heard the KEEFE confession tapes that Greg Kading got.
It turns out that KEEFE D had confessed to the crime to the feds back in 2008. So why was he never arrested back then? To answer this, it is important to start from the top. It all started in 2008 when KEEFE D was arrested in a PCP ring case. According to reports, the feds had been gathering evidence on the drug ring that KEEFE D ran and had enough intel to put him away for 25 years. So the feds offered him a deal that anybody would have, found hard to reject as they even threatened his family.
And we put an ironclad case against him, approach him, and say, here's the deal, KEEFE D, we have questions about these murders. If you don't cooperate, you're going to prison for the rest of your life, and so are several members of your family who are caught up in your drug organization.
Since everyone who was involved had long died, including the shooter, there was not much opposition. And with the extra motivation on the table, you best believe KEEFE D sang like a bird for 3 straight hours.
He confesses to his involvement in the murder of Tupac Shakur in Las Vegas in 1996. He tells us that his nephew, Orlando Anderson, was in the same car with him, which was the white Cadillac.
After truth-telling on his nephew, the drug case against KEEFE D was dropped and he walked away a free man. However, a few years later, in 2011, ex-cop Greg Kading published the book Murder Rap, which highlighted KEEFE D's confession in detail. Greg Kading is an author and former Los Angeles Police Department detective. He is best known for working on a multi-law enforcement task force that investigated the murders of Tupac and Biggie Smalls. Greg Kading's book sent shockwaves across the hip-hop world as it implicated some of the industry's biggest names. The most notable name in the book, as we will see later, was none other Sean Combs, alias P. Diddy. In light of this information, it is important to ask whether DJ Vlad really cracked the case. At first glance, one can conclude that he didn't solve the case since Greg Kading. However, on close inspection, Vlad actually helped the feds finally arrest KEEFE D. See, back in 2008, KEEFE D was never charged because he made a proffer agreement with the feds. It is important to note that a proffer agreement is an agreement between the feds and a defendant that ensures government attorneys will not use any statements the defendant makes during an off-the-record interview against them in later proceedings. When KEEFE D sat down with Vlad and confessed to his crime, the feds had their green light. While KEEFE D's words to the feds in 2008 couldn't be used against him, what he did not know was that anything he said outside the interview room was fair game and would be used to prosecute him. In an interview, Greg Kading spoke about the proffer agreement between KEEFE D and the feds, saying, "The proffer agreement simply said that when you sit down and talk to us, whatever you say that is self-incriminating, we won't use against you. But when he leaves that room, that agreement doesn't apply to everything else in his life, as he erroneously believed. So he began to go out and boast about his involvement in the murder. None of that's protected under the agreement. He has essentially talked himself right into jail." It seems Vlad was instrumental in getting KEEFE locked up. The question now is, will there be any retaliation? It is. Important to note that KEEFE D was once affiliated with the California-based gang, the Southside Compton Crips. Remember, this is not the first time Vlad has found himself in trouble for doing his job. The altercation with Rick Ross saw him get jumped, yet it was over a trivial matter. This one was different and more serious. Was Vlad afraid of his life?
Are you worried about repercussions against you?
I don't worry about doing my job. My job supersedes any level of concern or fear or anything else like that.
But maybe there is reason for DJ Vlad to get worried, since the case also involves a multi-millionaire who may feel that he needs to pay for getting him involved in the case. This is none other than Sean Love Combs, alias P. Diddy, and formerly known as Puff Daddy. So how exactly did P. Diddy find himself entangled in this mess? Well, it all has to do with his relationship with KEEFE D. The history of KEEFE D and P. Diddy.
Now, it was this documentary that claimed, which we know wasn't true.
Yeah, check this out. We don't talk about things that are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother. So we not even gonna go there, with all due respect.
The relationship between KEEFE D and P. Diddy led to the deaths of two of hip-hop's greatest rappers, Tupac and Biggie Smalls. So how did their friendship start, and how did it lead to the murders of the two rappers? KEEFE D's life in crime started way back in 1971 when he got involved with the Crips due to peer pressure. At first, he got a job working in Compton College. However, the money was not coming as fast as he had hoped, so he turned to selling drugs, where the money was good. Eventually, the law would catch up to him, and he went to prison for dealing from 1985 to 1989. But doing time did not help him as he became a hardened gangster. After getting out of jail, KEEFE D was soon involved in the hip-hop industry and had connections to iconic rapper Eazy-E and former drug kingpin Harry O, showing how powerful he became in the rap industry. Harry O is among the co-founders of Death Row Records, the record label that launched the careers of rap legends Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, and Tupac Shakur. Harry O was not the only Death Row co-founder that KEEFE D had ties to. As he has revealed multiple times, KEEFE D and the infamous Suge Knight grew up together. The two met when KEEFE D was 9 years old. Interestingly, their relationship dates back to their younger years when they played Pop Warner football together. KEEFE D played as a running back and complimented Suge Knight's position as center. However, their relationship would turn sour when KEEFE D met P. Diddy. The origins of their relationship trace back to a moment when KEEFE D lent a lowrider to Usher for one of his music videos. Usher ended up dancing on top of the vehicle, which left it needing repairs. That's where P. Diddy entered the picture as he took responsibility and personally funded the repair of the vehicle. This would later spark off a friendship with KEEFE D. At the time, Diddy had founded Bad Boy Records, a direct competitor to Death Row Records. However, before the infamous drama between the two labels, P. Diddy and Suge Knight were actually friends. This was about to change, and in 1995, during the Second Source Awards, when Suge dissed P. Diddy, starting a rap beef that would end with two rappers losing their lives. To provide background information about that evening, it's essential to note that this was a significant event in the hip-hop world, considering that Source magazine was one of the, if not the most renowned hip-hop publications at the time. As a result, numerous influential figures in the rap industry were in attendance at Madison Square Garden's Paramount Theater. Nevertheless, there was a notable absence: Tupac. During that period, he was incarcerated due to a sexual abuse case filed against him. One day before his arrest, Tupac alleged that people from Diddy's label had jumped him and shot in New York, which would lead to the feud between Bad Boy and Death Row. The beef escalated the night of the awards when the Death Row co-founder took the stage to accept an award and gave a speech that would ultimately lead to some of the worst events in hip-hop history.
Any artist out there want to be an artist and want to stay a star, don't want to have to worry about the executive producer trying to be all in the video, all on the record, dancing. Come to Death Row.
That was a direct shot at P. Diddy, who had a habit of appearing in his artist videos and music. Tensions were high that night. However, P. Diddy took the stage, and instead of clapping back at Death Row, he extended an olive branch.
I'm the executive producer that a comment was made about a little bit earlier. But check this out, contrary to what other people may feel, I would like to say that I'm very proud of Dr. Dre, of Death Row, and Suge Knight for their accomplishment.
It seemed like Diddy wanted peace, or maybe that is what he wanted them to think. As we will see, Diddy was playing chess while his enemies were busy with checkers. When Tupac came back from jail, he released arguably the most brutal diss track in hip-hop, Hit 'Em Up. Apart from that, on September 24th, 1995, the night Suge slapped Diddy at a party in Atlanta at the Platinum House nightclub. This made Diddy deathly afraid of Death Row, but he still wanted to get back at them. That is when he turned to the one man who he knew was not afraid of his nemesis, the leader of the Southside Compton Crips. With KEEFE D's backing, Diddy felt as if no one could mess with that. He even started toying with the idea of killing the Death Row CEO. According to KEEFE D, he and Diddy discussed the assassinations once at a concert in Anaheim and a couple of times at Greenblatt's Deli on the Sunset Strip. He took me downstairs and he's like, "Man, I want to get rid of them dudes, man." I was like, "We'll wipe their out quick, man. It's nothing." KEEFE D revealed to the feds. The first physical confrontation between the two camps came in August 1996, when a handful of Southside Crips beat and robbed one of Shakur's mob Piru Blood's bodyguards at a mall in Lakewood. The assailants snatched a diamond-studded Death Row medallion from the victim's neck. The next confrontation between the two groups would prove deadly and would involve two childhood friends, KEEFE D and Suge Knight. The Southside Crips had a regular tradition of going to Las Vegas to watch Mike Tyson fight. On September 7th, 1996, they found their way to Nevada to watch Mike Tyson fight Bruce Seldon. After the fight, KEEFE D and the Crips planned to meet in the cafe at the MGM Grand. plan, but Orlando Anderson, alias Baby Lane, his nephew, didn't show up. Then some 118 East Coast Crips came and told us that they saw some death row niggas jump on my nephew down by the casino, he told cops. Surveillance footage shows death row affiliates surrounding and beating up Baby Lane. After hearing that his nephew had been jumped, KEEFE D revealed that the beef had become personal and decided to retaliate immediately. KEEFE D, together with 3 others, went to Club 662 for a death row after party where Tupac was supposed to perform. The 3 others included Terrence Brown, alias T Brown, DeAndre Smith, alias Dre, and Baby Lane. T Brown was the driver that night while KEEFE D sat next to him. Behind his uncle was Baby Lane. Behind the driver sat Dre. He wrote that he first planned to confront Knight, whom he had long known. But after Tupac and Knight didn't show up for an hour and a half, KEEFE D called his crew off. On their way home, the group stopped to buy alcohol. KEEFE D revealed that he put the gun that he intended to use in the back of the car. They hopped back in the car and headed to their house. On the way, they saw Tupac with half of his body hanging out of a BMW as he waved to fans who were calling his name. They turned their Cadillac around and followed the BMW, stopping right next to them at a traffic light. The occupants in both cars looked at each other for a split second. Tupac then started to reach for his gun, and according to KEEFE D, that's when the fireworks started. The shooter, seated at the back of the Cadillac, rolled down the window and rapidly fired gunshots at Tupac's BMW. One of my guys from the back seat grabbed the Glock and started busting back, he wrote in his memoir. The rapper was hit 4 times, twice in the chest, once in the arm, once in the thigh. One of the bullets went into Shakur's right lung. Knight was hit in the head by fragmentation. They then drove off and even saw the 2 ambulances carrying Tupac and Knight. The group ditched their Cadillac and then popped bottles and partied like it was any other night. At the hospital, Shakur was heavily sedated, was placed on life support machines, and was ultimately put under a medically induced coma after repeatedly trying to get out of bed. While in the critical care unit on the afternoon of Friday, September 13, 1996, Shakur died of respiratory failure that led to cardiac arrest after the removal of his right lung. Everyone who was at the crime scene refused to cooperate with the cops, meaning they had little to no leads. As it turns out, Death Row wanted to retaliate the old school way. The following year, Christopher George Latore Wallace, alias Biggie Smalls, was shot and killed outside the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles after a Soul Train Music Awards party. It is believed that Suge Knight ordered the hit. For a long time, no one was ever arrested for these crimes, until KEEFE D took it upon himself to tell it all. One can only wonder why he did it. Well, according to DJ Vlad, KEEFE D thought that his proffer agreement with the feds made him untouchable.
I think that he believed that he had a level of immunity when he did the proffer agreement.
This was not the only reason. As it turns out, the ex-gangster had been suffering from cancer and was sure that his time on Earth was up.
I think at the time he was saying that he had cancer, so maybe he didn't think he had much time to live. So he was just kind of letting it loose at that point.
So confident was KEEFE D that he was going to die that in 2019, he published his memoir titled Compton Street Legend, where he provided more details to claims he had previously told the feds. However, the universe had different plans for KEEFE D, as 4 years later he was still alive and facing murder charges. However, there might be another reason. See, KEEFE D has been exposed as a money-hungry individual. DJ Vlad revealed that KEEFE D backed out of an interview after taking money from him, which adds to the skepticism surrounding his credibility. The desire for quick financial gain seems more important to KEEFE D over providing valuable information to the public. According to DJ Vlad, KEEFE D had initially reached out to him to conduct another sit-down interview. Intrigued by the opportunity, Vlad agreed and even went as far as paying KEEFE D an initial deposit to secure the interview. Unbeknownst to DJ Vlad, KEEFE D was apparently accepting offers and collecting deposits from multiple media outlets for interviews. KEEFE D has also appeared in interviews where he revealed that Diddy paid out money for the hit, but he never got his cut of the deal. That is sure to have left him bitter. According to him, his life changed after getting involved with Diddy, yet after Tupac's death, he completely ghosted KEEFE D. Diddy was smart and did not want to be connected in any way with KEEFE D and Tupac's death, so he cut all communication with the leader of the Southside Compton Crips.
If I wouldn't have never met him, I would have never been involved in this bullshit. Yeah, no, he never reached out to me or nothing. Yeah. And don't look like he won't ever reach out to me.
KEEFE D does come across as someone who is bitter with Diddy for destroying his life and maybe doing all this to soil Diddy's name. KEEFE D is coming to the end of his life with nothing to show for it, while the man he believes destroyed his life is swimming in millions. All this brings KEEFE D's credibility into question. However, all these events have left the hip-hop world surprised, with some even publicly giving their reactions. Rappers react to KEEFE D and P. Diddy. Since KEEFE D was arrested, social media has been ablaze with fans as well as rappers joining to give their thoughts and even clown on KEEFE D and P. Diddy. Rapper 50 Cent was among those who couldn't resist clowning Diddy after he was implicated in Tupac's murder. 50 Cent chimed in with a dig aimed at P. Diddy through an Instagram post where he told the Bad Boy Records CEO to lawyer up. Damn. So Pac got lined by Brother Love. LOL time to lawyer up. It might get sticky, 50 Cent posted. You may be wondering why 50 Cent would kick a man while he is down. Well, for those who are not familiar with the two rappers, Diddy and 50 Cent have had their fair share of beef in the past. Back in 2007, Diddy signed a deal with K-Rock, giving him 50% of the vodka brand's profits. Since he jumped on board, K-Rock has become a staple of hip-hop, gaining shout-outs on songs from Kanye West, Rick Ross, and Kendrick Lamar. Always an instigator, 50 Cent decided that he wasn't going to let Puffy take the rap game's booze crown without a fight. In late 2014, 50 signed a deal with Effin' Vodka and began an aggressive and hilarious social media campaign aimed at Diddy and his own $100 million empire. Before 50's deal with Effin' was announced or clarified, he was already on the attack. In November of last year, 50 posted a photo of Diddy dancing with a large woman and wrote a caption that read, "Damn, 50's right, I'm effing up right now," complete with the link to Effin's Facebook page. Predictably for 50, the photo received widespread criticism and eventually took the post down. But either way, shots were officially fired. French Montana, who was signed to Diddy's label, tried to come to his boss's defense. He posted 50's oft-criticized GQ cover from 2005. This only gave 50 Cent more ammunition and another opportunity to promote his vodka. 50 Cent posted a pic of French Montana and a shirtless Diddy together with the caption, "What in the effing vodka world is going on in this picture, man? Something's not right." This is not the only time that 50 Cent has publicly hinted at P. Diddy having a different sexual orientation. During an interview with Power 105.1's The Breakfast Club, 50 questioned Diddy's sexuality. He recalled a time when Diddy reportedly made a comment that made him feel uncomfortable. "He said something to me a long time ago at Chris Lighty's wedding," 50 recalled. "He told me he'd take me shopping. I looked at him like, what'd you just say? Let me move, man, before I do something." That's something a guy says to a girl. Even recently, while on tour, 50 couldn't help but poke fun at the Bad Boy Records CEO.
"That's why I don't be going to them Puffy parties. Hug you from the front and the back at the same time. What are you talking about? Look, if you into that, I'm fine with it. To each his own. I'm just saying this ain't my mother kind of party."
For a long time, Diddy has maintained that he and 50 are on good terms and even gone as far as to say that 50 Cent loves him. "I have no beef with 50. He loves me," Diddy affirmed. "You really think that's hate? When you really break it down, you've been out here a long time. You know he loves me." Diddy even confirmed that he is never hurt by 50's comments and jokes about him. When he does, that it's funny to me, I don't really take it personally. I know he has a different sense of humor. He's just not in my life. We don't have to never cross paths, and I will never say nothing negative about him, because that's just not me. Sometimes people that feel like they don't like you and they act like that, they really love you. I'm not just saying it to say it. There's something about me that has him on me all the time, and I'm not going nowhere. Well, I'm not sure that 50 loves Diddy, as in the past he often referred to Diddy as the devil. One thing is certain, if Diddy is arrested in connection to Tupac's murder, 50 Cent will be there to clown on his fellow rapper. This is actually the $1 question. Will the feds pounce on P. Diddy given KEEFE D's confession that he ordered and paid for the hit? Well, Greg Kading, who was crucial in letting the world know about Tupac's murder, thinks that it is highly unlikely for Diddy to get charged. First, Diddy is a multi-millionaire with enough to pay the best lawyers and keep him out of trouble.
Puffy now is, an iconic music figure with hundreds of millions of dollars.
Second, KEEFE D's credibility may not hold up in court since he is a convicted drug dealer and has even perjured himself in the past.
And you're not going to have a very practical likelihood of prosecuting him based solely on the testimony of a known gang member, convicted drug dealer, ex-convict, and who has changed his story several times.
While Diddy may be in the clear, KEEFE D certainly is not. And according to iconic rapper Ice-T, KEEFE D is basically dead. He names everybody else in the car, Ice-T said in an interview, and now he's basically dead. He's gonna spend the rest of his life in prison all by his own hand. You don't even need anybody to testify. Perhaps the most anticipated reaction to KEEFE D's arrest was from his childhood friend turned nemesis, Suge Knight. To understand why the hip-hop fraternity wants to hear Suge Knight's reaction to the arrest is because he saw the occupants occupants in the white Cadillac, yet refused to cooperate with the cops. For a long time, this made many people think that he may have had a hand in Tupac's death. Numerous theories started to surface linking Knight and Tupac's death. First, it was reported that Pac was about to leave Death Row Records. His album titled Don Killuminati, The 7-Day Theory, was the last album he had to do for Death Row Records. After this project, he allegedly planned to work on his new record company called Machiavelli Records. With Pac gone, Death Row Records wasn't going to make any money off of him. If Pac died before this happened, everything related to him would get them a whole lot of cash. And they would now have all of his unreleased songs that they would release under their label on soundtracks, compilation albums, and possibly even put out new albums. This rumor was further fueled when Gaddafi, who famously appeared on the diss track Hit 'Em Up, agreed to testify. The night Tupac was shot, Gaddafi was riding in the car behind Shakur's and witnessed the shooting. He initially refused to cooperate with police, but later said he could possibly identify the assailants. However, on November 10th, 1996, he was shot once in the head and died in Orange, New Jersey. Gaddafi's death seemed a little too convenient, as people suspected foul play. In 2014, Knight started another rumor that Pac was alive and living in Cuba. While leaving a West Hollywood nightclub, a TMZ camera rolled up on a drunk Suge Knight who proceeded to spill the beans. First, he clarified that he did not shoot the late rapper as many people suspected. Everybody knows off the top, I ain't killed Tupac, I'm protected Tupac, he said. He ended his verbal tirade by saying, Tupac's not dead. You know he's somewhere smoking a Cuban cigar. Well, it turns out that the hip-hop legend has an aunt living in Cuba. Political activist and former Black Liberation Army member Assata Shakur, who escaped prison and fled to Cuba after being convicted for the murder of a state trooper. She was granted political asylum in Cuba in 1984, where she has lived ever since. Well, rumor had it that after the shooting, Tupac, fearing his life under threats from rival gangs and growing tired of fame, faked his own death and went to live in Cuba. To top it all off, there's also the strange fact that the person who cremated Tupac's body retired afterward and hasn't been seen since. Well, with all this information, what was Suge Knight's reaction to KEEFE D's arrest? He spoke to TMZ from a California prison where he's serving a 28-year sentence for voluntary manslaughter. I'm surprised for one because I never thought KEEFE D would get arrested. Whatever the circumstances, if he had an involvement in anything, if he didn't have any involvement in anything, I wouldn't wish somebody going to prison on my worst enemy, he said. He was then asked whether he would testify against him. Keep in mind that KEEFE D revealed in his memoir that when the white Cadillac pulled up next to the BMW at the traffic light, he and his childhood friend locked eyes just before the shots were fired. As many people expected, the Death Row Records co-founder revealed that he would not be testifying against KEEFE D. 1000%, I wouldn't go, I wouldn't testify, none of that, he told TMZ. What is shocking about the Death Row co-founder's reaction to the arrest is that he still denied that Baby Lane pulled the trigger. I never had nothing bad to say about Orlando because he wasn't the shooter, he said. Does he know something that we don't? Is he calling cap on KEEFE D's version of events? Well, we may never know. If you enjoyed this video, click on the boxes playing on your screen to watch similar content.